Hey, how's it going? I'm so glad you could make it. You look amazing. Yeah, I know, sorry. I'm running a little late. But anyways, I'm glad that you're here so we can talk about what it's like to be a bride-to-be and a feminist at the same time. So let me get dressed. Come on in. Let's have a little chat.
Here we go!
Sorry, I was still getting ready when you arrived. So it's like I was saying, I believe that there is a way to be a feminist and a bride at the same time, even though the idea may seem a little conflicting at times. And it's not about hating on tradition whatsoever, especially not if there's, specific traditions that were passed down from your family. But I think it's more a question of finding out where those traditions come from, the root of them, because there's so many gestures that you do the day of your wedding, and perhaps you want to make sure that the meaning of them truly aligns with how you feel as a modern day bride. Coffee? Thought so. So I think the other thing that's important when it comes to being a feminist bride is to really talk about it with your partner. Your partner might have certain things that are really important to him or her, when it comes to wedding traditions, and perhaps you have some things that you are less comfortable with. So it's really about having this conversation and this dialogue open, which I think really makes a big difference. So for example, when my partner proposed to me, he got this amazing ring designed for me, and I was really thrilled about the ring. I was so excited and happy. And then came the part to wear the ring every day, on my commute to work and while I'm talking to people. And all of a sudden, the feeling that I had about wearing the ring was really different than the one I thought I would have. I felt like all of a sudden I was sort of portraying to the world that I belonged to someone, which just made me feel a little bit weird, like I was, the property of such and such person. And I decided to have the conversation and just share with him how I felt about that, which, I'm super thankful he was very understanding. And his answer, which really surprised me, was that he said he couldn't wait to have a wedding band on his finger, because for him, the feeling of being able to portray that was actually very exciting. So when he said that, it made me feel so warm and fuzzy in my heart, and it actually made me feel different about wearing an engagement ring on my finger. It made me feel very proud, and I felt very heard and understood from him. So this is a way that you can have discussions with your partner, and perhaps this is a way that you would maybe want to proceed with your engagement. Maybe you want your partner to wear a engagement ring, and that's totally cool. And I think that's why it's fun to be able to create these changes with the way you proceed as a feminist bride. Shouldn't be much longer. I forget if you take sugar and milk in yours. There's so many small things when you think of it that are part of a wedding that we just kind of go through the motions sometimes, and we don't really take time to think about what all of these things mean and if there are other options. So for example, something I spend a lot of time thinking about is how I was actually going to walk down the aisle and how I felt about the idea of being given away. Even though I think it's a beautiful moment to share with your father or whoever you choose to walk you down the aisle, I still had, a bit of a hang up when it came to that. So we're still discussing the various options of how I will actually be walking down the aisle, but I think there's a lot of great solutions if you feel weirded out by being handed over. So for example, you can walk down the aisle, partially by yourself and then be accompanied by whoever you choose. You can walk down the aisle with both of your parents. That's also a beautiful option. Or maybe you just want to walk down the aisle alone. And I think that that's totally cool. So I think that discussing that again with your partner and your family is vital to really make the best decision for you. I think another thing that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about is the vows and the ceremony and how we will approach what is said and the exchange between my partner and I. Because at the end of the day, that's the big reason why you're getting married, is to, commit and proclaim that you're committing. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear that we're gonna omit anything that has to do with like obedience and that sort of thing. And it's great because our officiant is actually like super on board with making sure that I feel 100% comfortable with what is being said in the ceremony. And of course, so is my partner. So that's amazing. I think you can base your exchange of vows on, equality and, caring for one another and love and support and, the fact that you're going to be a team. And I think that that's beautiful. So it's nice to be able to play around with these ideas in your mind to make sure that it feels 100% like you and that you feel 100% respected and good in the final decisions. I think it's also all of these standards that we have towards the bride that we don't have towards the groom that are also important to discuss. So sometimes it's, just physically. Let's say you will expect the bride to maybe want to get in shape or lose weight or change her hair, before the big day. And those are things that I don't think we discuss much with grooms. And perhaps this is where we want to make sure that the standards are the same and equal. I also think there's, various things that the bride sometimes, is expected to do, like whether it's like the bouquet toss or, the garter or different things like that. And maybe, those are things that you want to look further into in terms of where the tradition stems for and why are people doing that, and if you indeed feel comfortable with these things. And I think another way to make sure to keep feminism alive and well in your wedding planning process is to include the groom as much as possible. We often tend to correlate certain things with the bride's department. Let's say it's decor or color palettes or aesthetics, decisions. And perhaps your partner, the groom, has really good insights and really good input. Perhaps he's a very creative person and actually has a sense of aesthetics that's quite in tune. And I think that, not dividing the wedding planning process with male or female, tasks is a way to make sure you remain a feminist bride. So if anything, I think that there's never been a more exciting time to be a bride-to-be. I know for me personally, I feel like I have a voice. I feel like I have, the same decision power as my partner. I feel like I'm able to navigate all of these wedding waters the way that I choose to. So if anything, I think I feel the most empowered I ever have. And I think that's beautiful. So in my opinion, I am feeling very good about my bride-to-be self and my feminist self coexisting together. So thanks so much for stopping by. It was great to see you. Till next time.